Do you want to rock your next tabletop session? Roll with me to find out how. Please forgive that terrible intro. When I thought of it, I just had to say it, so I'm sorry. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make boulder scatter terrain. It's a pretty quick process. I think you actually wait longer for the paint and glue to dry than you actually do working on the boulders themselves. So let's get into it. I start off with offcuts of XPS Foam that I've used from other projects. What I do is break it down into smaller pieces so that I can stack them and create a general shape that I'm going to sculpt into the boulders. Here, I'm using my utility knife to remove the foam and begin to refine the look and feel of each boulder. I use shallow cuts to remove the foam as I don't want to remove too much too fast and possibly ruin the shape of the boulder. Now, I use a rolled up piece of tinfoil to apply medium pressure to the outside of the different pieces of foam to create a rock-like texture. After texturing the rocks, I apply a coat of black Mod Podge, which is black craft paint and Mod Podge, to the outside of the rocks to prep them for paint. After the black Mod Podge mixture is done drying, I begin painting the rocks with a gray base coat. After finishing the gray base coat, I use the soft side of a cut up dish sponge and use medium pressure to apply detailing using red and brown paints. I begin a second detailing pass by using the fine side of the sponge. This time around I'm not as heavy handed as I was with the soft side of the sponge. This allows me to add finer details as I'm going over each piece. The next step I take is dry brushing, and what I'm going to do here is take my paintbrush and hit all of the edges of each of the rocks to create some definition, and I'm going to use a cream color paint. Now I'm going to wash the rocks. So what I like to do is put my wash in a spray bottle as it allows me to more easily apply it to the different terrain pieces. After my wash finished drying, I wasn't exactly happy with how my rocks looked. I was going for a more darker look and they were still kind of bright. So what I did was I used a cut up dish sponge and applied another layer of detail using a darker gray paint. I had to go back and do some dry brushing and edge highlighting. Most of the details were lost after the wash and the reapplying of the dark gray paint. The final step of detailing is adding a bit of flocking. Here I'm going to use my homemade flocking that I've made in a previous video. So what this is homemade sawdust dyed with different colors of green paint. So how I apply it, I take a small paintbrush and apply a 50-50 mixture of water and PVA glue to the cracks and crevices of each piece. And then starting with the darkest color of flocking, I sprinkle it on very thick. And then I move to the medium colored flocking and sprinkle it a little more thinly. And then finally, when I move to the lightest color flocking, I sprinkle it on very thinly. This gives a decent amount of contrast to the flocking and gives a more lifelike look. Final step is to add several coats of clear matte spray paint to protect the piece and seal in all of the flocking. Making your own rocks and boulders for your tabletop games is pretty easy and a great beginner project if you're just getting started in the hobby. I hope you give these a try as they are fun to make and the possibilities for different styles of rocks are endless. If you liked the video, please leave a like and please consider subscribing. I've got a lot more terrain videos coming and I'm excited about what's next. I'll see you in the next one.